by dignitaries. Of course, all this will be covering for you here at KTN. Now, we still want to have a conversation with the former Makueni Governor, Professor Kivutha Kibwana. But before we do, the passing of Raila Odinga, Kenya's former Prime Minister and longtime opposition leader, marks the end of an era in the nation's political and legal history. For more than 2 decades, Raila embodied the struggle for electoral justice, taking his battles from the campaign trail to the courtroom, challenging the integrity of Kenya's elections and shaping the country's constitutional democracy in the process. Here is that report.
Raila Odinga's political career spanned over 4 decades, from his involvement in the struggle for multi-party democracy in the 1980s to his role as Prime Minister in the Grand Coalition government following the disputed 2007 general elections.
I, Raila Odinga, in full realization of the high calling as the Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya.
More than any other politician of his generation, Raila came to symbolize the fight against electoral injustice.
Nothing would have pleased me more if I had lost fairly. As you know that I'm a sportsman.
He ran for president 5 times, contesting results he claimed were manipulated, and in doing so, he pushed Kenya's judiciary and electoral systems to evolve. In 2007, Raila contested the election results, alleging irregularities and fraud. The court ultimately dismissed the petition. The election was marred by allegations of vote rigging, particularly in favor of incumbent President Mwai Kibaki. Odinga disputed the results and claimed victory.
I wish to appeal to President Mwai Kibaki to acknowledge and respect the will of the people of Kenya and honorably concede defeat.
Violence erupted after the Electoral Commission of Kenya declared Kibaki the winner on December 30th, 2007. The violence, commonly known as the post-election violence, lasted for several weeks and resulted in loss of lives of more than 1,100 people. More than 650,000 people were displaced from their homes.
Kenyans are deeply disturbed and angered by the attempt of this government to steal this election through a process that was fraudulent at every step of the way. The people know that they voted to reject the incumbent and put in place a president and a government they will have faith in.
Raila's repeated choice to pursue justice through the courts and on the streets marked a major shift in Kenya's post-election culture. His petitions, particularly in 2013, 2017 and 2022, tested the limits of constitutional democracy and judicial independence. In 2013, Raila Odinga again contested the results, citing electoral malpractices. The Supreme Court unanimously upheld former President Uhuru Kenyatta's win. But in 2017, the court made history by nullifying a presidential election, the first of such a decision in Africa, citing massive irregularities. The ruling was widely viewed as vindication of Raila's long-standing claims that Kenya's elections require deep reform.
Some persons conspired and executed a scheme to deny Kenyans their democratic right to elect their leaders. Some persons gained entry to the IBC election management database and assumed the role of our collective sovereign.
A declaration is hereby issued that the presidential election held on 8th August 2017 was not conducted in accordance with the Constitution and the applicable law, rendering the declared results invalid, null, and void.
The court ordered fresh presidential elections to be held within 60 days. The fresh presidential elections were held on October 26, 2017. However, Raila Odinga boycotted the elections, citing concerns over the Electoral Commission's credibility and lack of reforms.
Do not participate in any way in the sham election. We are aware that the bloodthirsty regime is planning to use every excuse to massacre our people.
In what became his final major political contest, Raila Odinga once again petitioned the Supreme Court after the 2022 presidential election, alleging tampering with results and a breakdown of transparency within the IEBC. Although the court upheld President William Ruto's victory, the proceedings exposed deep institutional divisions within the IEBC.
For avoidance of doubt, I want to repeat that we totally and without reservations reject the presidential results announced yesterday by Mr. Chebukati.
Raila's petitions left behind enduring legal and political reforms that elevated the judiciary as the central arbiter of electoral disputes. His persistence strengthened judicial authority and public confidence in the courts. For millions of Kenyans, Raila Odinga was more than a politician. He was a symbol of reform, resistance, and resilience. His relentless pursuit of electoral justice turned courtrooms into arenas of accountability. Chebet Birir, KTN, Nairobi.
Tributes for the former Prime